Good morning, everybody. My name is Mina Jane. I'm one of the programming librarians at the Cary Library. Really happy to be bringing you this hairdressing session. As you can see, I also need it. I'll go into that in just a second, but I wanted to let you know that we are recording, as I mentioned, that we're gonna, feel free to add questions to the chat. I will be feeding them to Dominique as she's going. And I always like to thank the Library Foundation, the Cary Library Foundation, for helping us bring all of these amazing programs to the library. So I'm going to say a few words about Dominique. She is a stylist at Station8 Salon in Jamaica Plain, and she's been creating Facebook hair care tutorials for the Dedham Public Library since the pandemic began. And I just learned that she's actually an educator in her salon, so she's really good at this. So I'm going to hand it over to her. We have a new feature in Zoom where I can actually spotlight two things, so you'll be able to see her from a little bit further away and a little bit close up. So here we go.
All right, excellent. So hi, everyone. Good morning. So I'm going to talk about a few things. I figured we would start off with just simply tools, right? Like kitchen scissors, they're there, but they're not awesome. So I figured we would just talk about, I'm going to move this lovely lady over. I know I sent some links to Mina and she's going to put them in the notes at the end. But I would say one of the most, I know this is ridiculous, but one of the most important things is a good comb. And this, I literally bought these on Amazon for like $6. Using like a big wide tooth comb, you're just not going to get, it's always going to look raggedy. And so strangely enough, a good comb. Scissors, I mean, you can literally, I would spend no more than $30 on scissors. The scissors I'm using are, they're hairdressing scissors. But you can literally spend anywhere from $10 to $30. If you're going to venture into thinning scissors, don't. They're great if you know how to use them. And I mean, I can show you like a little thing, but they can really destroy someone's hair if you don't know how to use them. And I know they're marketed a lot because like, a lot of people have like, really thick and bulky hair, but just stay away from them. And I'll show you like a little trick in terms of debulking with regular scissors. So I think we're gonna kind of get right into it with a bang trim, which I know is a little scary, but I'm gonna show you a super easy way to do it. You can also, if you're feeling brave, you can do it on yourself as well. Most importantly, like your kid's probably not going to be psyched about the amount of wetness you're going to be spraying, but definitely spray their hair. So you always want to take a triangle piece, which I already have out, but I'm going to show you how to do it. And you want it to be from the center of the eyebrow to the center of the eyebrow. If you go to the outer edges of the eyebrow, you've then created a mullet for your poor child. So you don't want to do that. And it kind of doesn't matter if they have a center part. Like I know a lot of kids, like they have like a really strong side part. If you're doing a bang like this, just pull it to the center and it's kind of going to be fine either way. You don't have to keep it at the center when their hair is just a regular day. So I'm going to, redo this. So you want from, let's see, a little side view. From the center of the eye, brow, this little friend can go away, to the center of the eyebrow. Does that make sense so far?
Yes, I totally understood that.
I'm sorry?
Yes, I totally understood that.
Oh, awesome. Hold on. She's getting all wet. So this is literally the easiest thing to do. You just clump all the hair together after you've sectioned it. The sectioning is literally the hardest part. Now I've left her bangs super long. This would be like when your kid is like, you know, you're sticking a barrette in and all that great stuff. All you're gonna do is twist, comb down into a straight line, and where my fingers are, you don't want to cut that much. So slide your fingers down. You can always take more off and just cut.
Dominique, why the twist? Why did you twist it?
So why the twist is if I just went straight across, you now look like Mo from the Three Stooges. So if you twist, what happens is the center of the hair is the shortest part, and then it frames the face. So that way, actually, maybe we'll grab my blow dryer in a minute. So that way it kind of bellows this way. And it makes it just look, it just makes it look a little nicer. And also, as it goes out this way, if they're playing with their bangs and they're pushing it like that, the part that's really going to get in their eye, which doesn't sound like it's going to make sense, but it does, is actually this part. So what you're doing is you're creating it so it doesn't get into their eyes. So how does that sound?
That's good. Thank you.
And it's full, you cannot mess it up if you twist it unless you go way too high. And so just go a little at a time. I'll show you one more time. And, you know, I should have showed you, clip it out of the way. I was just being really hairdressery and not clipping it out of the way, but definitely clip it out of the way. But you can see I don't have a lot of hair there. Like it's not really covering their full forehead. It just gives the illusion of covering their forehead. But again,
Dominique, did you have a link for the clips?
so,
Did you send me a link?
if I didn't, I will. There are two kinds of clips. Okay. These are alligator clips because they look like a little alligator. These are butterfly clips. It really depends, like on, I don't know. They do the exact same thing. These tend to be a lot less expensive, the butterflies, and these tend to be a little pricier. I use both at the salon and both at my house, but you know, I think it really just depends. But I'll send a link to both of them. Okay, and literally everything is available on Amazon. Like everything that I sent you, you can get on Amazon.
Does anybody here know if there's a local in Lexington sort of here place where you can buy stuff like this?
I can sort of answer that. In Waltham, there is a Sally's Beauty Supply. So you do have to go across the tracks. But there is a Sally's Beauty Supply, and Sally's Beauty Supply is open to the public. There are other beauty supply stores that are not, but Sally's is open to the public. And I think it's on River Street in I grew up in Waltham. It's on River Street in Waltham.
Because
thank you.
Because that model stays still.
Yeah, she moves a little bit though. I can move her around, but she does stay still.
Awesome.
So I'll show you the bangs one more time. Again, you're literally just twisting, you're combing it down, and you're cutting a straight line. And if you wanted to get fancy, you could do one of those guys so it wouldn't feel so straight across. And I think those are the easiest way to cut bangs. I cut bangs like this like 98% of the time in the salon if someone wants a full bang. And it's wicked, it's fast, because I always say when you're cutting a kid's hair, go for what is driving them nuts, right? Because if you can at least get like the back or the front done, everything else is just gravy, right? And they're moving targets. So just get what works, what's driving them nuts or what's driving you nuts.
Okay. We have a question about, is there an easy way to deal with the cut hair? Does that mean like that sticky, the hair is all sticky and wet? Is that what you mean, V? Anyways, the question is there an easy way to deal with the
So the
cut
hair that like falls on the ground? Or the hair
Yeah, I
that's
think
like
so.
stuck to their necks? So hair that falls on the ground, I literally have a blanket down because it's over my rug. If you're on like a wooden floor or a tile floor, you can just sweep it up. You might have to take a Swiffer because it really does stick. You can always put a paper towel around their neck, and that will help with just them being itchy. And I didn't do this. I will also send you a link to a kid's cutting cape, which again, you can buy it on Amazon or at Sally's Beauty Supply.
I love that. A kid's cutting cape.
Yeah, and they have like fun little like octopuses or teddy bears on them or whatever. So I'm gonna move on from the bangs, but does anyone have any questions about the bangs before I move on to just cleaning up a little bob?
What kind of spray bottle is that?
So this is a plant mister. I just feel now I feel like I'm just an Amazon spokesperson, but regular like spray bottles, right? It's like you're spraying a cat. This mists into the air. So it's not as offensive as it's coming towards the person. It also sprays out and it gets the hair damper faster. So that way, you know, your kid's not freaking out. I mean, I know literally my wife is 51 and when I cut her hair and I don't use a mister, she's always like, eh. So it's, you know, you can get these anywhere, but they literally were made for plants and then hairdressers took them over. Just like dry shampoo.
Awesome. And Miriam would like to know, is a twist just a 1/2 turn?
It's just
Is
a
it
one, yeah,
turn
it's
or
just a half turn. Like,
Okay.
yes. You're just turning it, I guess, yeah, like one. Yep.
Okay, thank
And
you. All right, we're ready for
yeah,
we're ready for the
excellent.
bob.
All right, so here's the bob. So she has a bob. She needs a little trim. So I'm gonna soak her down. Sorry, my little station's a mess over there. But you know, you can see with the spray bottle, it's like she's already super damp. And you really want to get the hair wet. You know, like ideally, if you can stick your kid under a sink, that's great. But you know, a spray bottle works just fine. I know with the pandemic, we are using spray bottles way more than washing people's hair just because they don't want to be in a sink. So with the bobs, if you're just doing a super simple bob, it's wicked easy. What you want to do is section.
Dominique,
Yep.
if they have wavy or curly hair, should they still wet it?
Yes, 100%. Unless you're like, yeah, don't do a dry cut, especially on curly hair, unless you're like trained for that, because it's a nightmare. So it's just easier to always wet it. So she's nice and damp. You just find, you know, their natural part. This is where it does get like, you kind of want to go where their part is. Otherwise you'll have a really heavy side. So to find their natural part, you just comb their hair back and just do that with your hands, and it will literally just part itself. And you want to just make 4 sections. I'm going to do the section on this side. You go from the top of the head to, mannequins are a little weird, to the back of the ear. So to right there. And then clip it out of the way and forget about it. You do the same on that side. I don't know if you can see. And try to make like literally, your sections don't have to be perfect, but as long as they're not like super zigzaggy. But if the hair is wet, it will section really easy.
Okay, guys.
And then you're gonna go and do the same in the back, and you're gonna just follow their natural part. Now, I will tell you, because this model was already cut for a little bit of a different kind of bob, we're gonna pretend that stuff's not there. And if you wanted to get fancy, you know what? Don't get fancy. Just part it just straight across. I'm gonna actually wet that a little more so you can see my straight across part. Happens, her name's Eva. Look at that.
Mary Ellen, can you move your camera down a little bit so we can see the bottom of her head? Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
So again, you're just, everything's like a straight line. Like cutting hair is just connecting the dots. Once you have your, like, I'm going to talk about a guide. Once you have your guide, you're literally just connecting one side to the other. When your kid has super duper fine hair, you will be able to see every line. Like thicker hair and curly hair is way more forgiving. But that's just the card they were dealt. So what I am gonna do, you know, I'm gonna take another section down. Actually, no, I won't. So you just take a section down. You just hold it in your hands and then just cut. And now everything is going to be that length. So again, you're just holding it in your hands and you're cutting, and you're literally just connecting the dots. Now I'm standing off to the side. I wonder how, would you go in back of me real quick? When you're cutting hair, always just stand in the middle until you're at the side, but don't like move around too much. Just like find a spot and stay there, because that's going to give you the most even haircut.
Dominique, when you grab the hair to, as you said, follow the dots, so you took a little bit of the one that you'd already cut and then a little bit of the one that you were going to cut so that you had a...
So you have, yeah, we call it a guide. Just so, yeah, so you have a guide. So you're just finding a spot that you want to cut. And literally it could be anywhere from 1/4 of an inch to 8 inches, right? It just depends on what you're cutting. And you're just finding that spot, cutting it, moving to the next spot, and you'll see that's a straight line. from where I started to where I ended. And then when you take your next section down, now you're just meeting, now everything literally at this point, you've already done, like it sounds, you know, this sounds whatever. You've already done the haircut is now already set up to be done. Other than just spray it and just cut the little pieces, you've already created where you want that piece to be. So as long as you're starting in that same spot every single time, right? Now the haircut's pretty much going to cut itself. I'm going to move to the side, and then does anyone want me to do another couple of sections of this, or does it make sense what I'm saying about once you have your starting point, you're literally just connecting the dots. I always go from middle to left and then middle to right. You can do it either way. It's just the way my hand goes.
The only question we had, Dominique, is not about the straight bob, but about layered bobs. And we had talked about this earlier. So I just wanted to remind you that we were going to do that.
So that's gonna come. I'm gonna just show you how to connect the sides, and then we're gonna show a layered bob on top. So I'll just show you quickly how to connect the side, and then we'll go to a layered bob. So to connect the side, all you do is start behind the ear, like the last piece you cut, and go straight across, pull it down, wet it and cut it. If you wanted to be fancier, you could have an angle, but I would say just for ease of trimming, just stick with a straight line. Okay, so that's just a regular old trimming up a bob. And now we'll talk about a layered bob. So let me just take these clips out. So a layered bob is what we started, right? You want to get all of your lines in to make sure everything's nice and even. And then all you want to do with a layered bob get those sections out of the way. A layered bob is sort of just the back. So you go right from the crown of the head. You get a section of, I don't know, what's that, like 1/2 to 1/4 of an inch. You pull their hair up, and where the last piece falls, right? If anything falls out, that's not where you're going to cut. You're going to hold it straight out, like to the wall. And then there you go. You have a layered bob. And then you just take everything like it's a slice of pizza. You know, everything can just go into a triangle. And you'll see where you've already cut that piece. That's the guide. And again, if anything falls out, just let it fall out. It's not supposed to be cut.
Dominique, are you cutting straight across, or are you cutting at an angle?
I'm cutting straight across. I'm holding everything straight to the wall.
Okay.
And then literally that's it. It creates an angle because we're lifting it up. So that's what
Right.
creates the layer. Because when it falls, the shortest layer that we cut is now meeting the longest piece on the bottom. So that's what creates the layer. But literally, even when you're getting to the sides, you are just pulling the hair straight to the back and snipping it. And again, if any of these little pieces fall, don't try to like pick them up. That is what you get that's what creates the layer. And literally it is as simple as thinking it as a pie. And so I don't know, you can see where I want to cut, right? So I'm holding it straight out and just snipping it off. And then you have a cute little layered bob. So the stuff in the front, does anyone have any questions about the layers that I just put in the back?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Amy says, just to confirm that you go all the way around the head to get all the hair in those pizza slices.
No, okay, so you only go, so you only go to the back of the ear. And now I'm going to show you what to do in the front. So the pizza slices are only for the back.
Okay. Thank you. She got it.
Okay, so now we're going to go to the sides. And we've already created our line, right? And we're going to pull everything down. But because we layered this, now we have like these little pieces that need to be cut. So you just go in and any little pieces that aren't following that line, then you just cut it. Because the layered bob, and so really, there you go. Like, and if you see that there's nothing to cut, just don't cut it. Because there'll be pieces that fall. But the layered bob really is layered in the back. If you start layering on the side, even though shags are really in, I don't know if a 7-year-old wants a shag, right? So you're just connecting the dots from the front to the back. And then you can see there's a nice little angle. I don't know if you can see.
Yep, that's beautiful. Can you just show really quickly show how you pull a pizza slice from the back again?
Yes, absolutely. So definitely make sure everything super drenched. And I actually didn't cut this piece, so that's good. So you just find the last piece you cut, right? You're pulling everything straight back and just cutting. Everything, it literally is just a slice of pizza and you're pulling it just straight out, like 90 degrees. And then you just stop when you get behind the ear. Mannequins have different ears than human children. And really that's it. Now, if you wanted to go through because you're like, I don't know, something seems off, to check it, you just pick up a section of hair. So if you cut it vertically, you check it horizontally. And then if you see, like, actually I have a little piece, you just cut that. And if you don't see a piece of hair, don't cut it. If you see a piece of hair, then cut it, if that makes sense, as long as it's in a line. So anything that's done vertically will match horizontally. But I wouldn't recommend going up and doing the layered bob vertically I mean, horizontally, because that's a whole different story. But yeah, as long as you don't layer the sides and you just, everything from the behind the ear back, you just pick up like a pizza slice or a pie slice, and then you go in and just connect the lines, then you have a layered bob for your little gal.
That's awesome. Thank you. We're
It,
getting
it,
some questions
yeah,
about boy cuts. So
yep.
I know you're moving in that direction. I just want to let everybody know that we're moving in
Yeah,
that
we're
direction.
actually, if you have any other questions about a bob, a layered bob, or bangs, we can move on to, we got a little boy. So
Yeah, let's do that, and then we can ask more questions at the
perfect.
end.
All right, let me move this down. All right,
Hey, sweetie.
so we have this little guy.
Dan.
So right now his haircut, I did this last night. This, this is like a little grown out boy's haircut, right? Like it's got a little mullet, the bangs are long.
Pencils or hands first?
So we're going to talk about buzzers in a minute. If you don't mind a little bit of a grown out cut for for anyone, but for your little guy, I'm going to show you a quick way to clean this up, especially that stuff that falls in their face and then food gets in it and it's kind of gross. I'll show you a quick way to clean this up, and then we'll do a little buzzer action. I will tell you, buzzers look terrible on mannequins, but I'm going to just show you an easy technique. So that way, just know that your kid won't look like a doll head.
Dominique, I have a quick question here about the boy's cut. If there's not enough to clip and pull down, how do you cut the boy's hair? And I think you're getting to it. I just want to make sure that you heard that question.
Yeah, so that's going to come like, it's, okay. I'm going to tell you a little trade secret. Every haircut is pretty much exactly the same. There are only 3 haircuts. So even if this wasn't long enough to clip, what I'm going to show you, you're going to be like, wait, we just did that on the bob. So it really is all the same. It just depends on how short you're taking the hair. Does that answer that question?
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll see it too as you're clipping.
Yeah. So, I mean, with this guy, right? I left this mannequin a little longer, and what you want to do is right where their eyebrow meets or ends, that's the stuff you clip up and just put it away. So this is if you have someone with longer hair. And even with like shorter hair, you can just take a water bottle and spray it and the hair will stay. As long as it's wet, hair will stick to your head. And so a little boy's haircut like this, it's literally pizza slices and connecting the dots, right? Like you're taking a piece, you're just deciding how short or how long you want it, and you're cutting. And then that's the piece that's going to, connect the dots all the way around the head. So again, like literally you're picking up, you can see where I already made that cut, and you're snipping. And then when it falls into a layer. Because a layer, people get freaked out about the word layer. All layers mean is that I've pulled the hair out and I didn't cut it straight down. So this is like just to like clean up a little boy's haircut. And I'm going to show you how to clean up around the ears as well, and how to clean up around the neck.
So is this because you're doing the front of the hair? Well, and with the woman with the bob, you said not to do layers in the front.
Yeah. So that, because we were getting that angle going forward, right? Like a little, like a shorter haircut, you need to have the layers be in the front.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're just doing a bob, right? I'm going to keep saying, did that make sense?
It did, although I do want to go back to Miriam's question about
Yeah.
if there's not enough hair to clip and pull down.
Yep. So if there's not literally water, like if there's not enough hair to clip and pull down, you're probably getting into buzzer zone, right? But even if the hair, like, you know, is, yeah, I'll just show you, right? Even if you cut a piece of hair that's like that thin, right? Or that short, right? That's like in, I don't know, 2 inches off. If you spray, that hair is now going to stick. I mean, this is mannequin hair, so it's being a little angry with me. But now that hair is going to stick. Even though I'm saying that and now the hair is not sticking, but water will make the hair stick. So you don't necessarily need to clip a little boy's hair down, but water does it all. Does that
yeah.
answer that question?
I think that's helpful. And then Jamie said, are you going to show how to cut a boy or man's hair with clippers too? And I think you said you were going to sort of show that.
So I'm going to show that in the back. I wanted to just show just how, if you're going to use scissors, just how to do scissors on the side. I'm going to just show you how, like, just to get the hair off of someone's face in the front, and then we'll do clippers in the back. And I left this lovely mullet so we can work with the clippers.
Okay. And one more question.
Yeah.
Do you trim longer hair using the same techniques as trimming a bob?
I trim, like, yes, the same, right? Like if I'm doing a layer, I'm always pulling the hair out and cutting it. If I'm doing a straight across, I'm always pulling the hair down and cutting straight across. So they are kind of the same haircut, they're just shorter, right? If I didn't leave those pieces in the front, if I went through and did the pie section all the way through, it would look like a shag. If I went through and cut them even more, it would then become a pixie.
Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So it literally is, it's 3 haircuts. I shouldn't tell people that, but it's the truth. After 20 years, it's 3 haircuts.
We still need your expertise in getting it right though. So that's not giving away a secret.
Okay. So the stuff, I get a lot of questions about, and this also goes into buzzing, the stuff in the front, right? Especially like, you know, not to be like gender specific, but like little boys don't necessarily want hair in their eyes or bangs. And so the easiest way to get rid of that stuff, so he had this lovely like David Cassidy thing going on. And you're gonna be like, wait, didn't we just learn this and the other thing? You're gonna go from eyebrow to eyebrow, right? Pull it down, twist it, find your little piece, cut it, and then brush it to the side. So it literally, you're doing the same thing, but you're just cutting it long enough where you're brushing it off to the side. And that's for like a longer hair, little boy haircut.
Nice. He looks so much better already.
I know, he's lovely. Look at his little freckles. So now we'll talk about buzzing, right? Because buzzing it's the easiest way to clean up a haircut. Although it can be a little scary, I always say start off longer because you cannot put it back on, but you can always take more off. So when I'm doing a clipper cut, because this guy has longer hair, I am clipping it up. If they don't have longer hair, that's fine because I'll show you both ways. And I'm literally just clipping the hair out. So everyone has, or mostly everyone, has a little ridge. If everyone wants to feel the back of their head, because this is the best way to do it, everyone has a little ridge, and that's called your occipital bone, and you can feel it. You never want to buzz over that ridge because it's just not gonna, you just don't want to do it. It's not gonna look good. So I just need to plug my clippers in. So I'm just going to take a second to do that. And then if you have any more questions for the buzzing before we start. So this buzzer, I did put a buzzer set that I gave to Mina. This buzzer that I have is called a wall designer. They're super pricey. You do not need to spend a lot of money on this stuff unless you're going to like beat it up and use it every single day. So you can get, I think the buzzer I put up was like $40 and it literally came with every attachment and scissors and clips. So just go for one of those packages. You don't need to buy $100 buzzer.
That's what we have at home. I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
One is, can you use a shaver? And the other is about getting around the ears when you buzz. So
I'll definitely show around the ears when you buzz.
Okay.
So using a shaver, I actually have a shaver plugged in. Oops, that was on. So this is like a shaver, right? It's like a little buzzer. It's called, this one's called a peanut. If you use a shaver, you can, right? If it has attachments, like some beard shavers do, it's gonna take you 1,000 years to cut their hair. So I wouldn't recommend doing it. It's just going to take too long. I would recommend using it to like clean up the edges, and that's what you're going to clean up the ear around. But definitely just get buzzers. Little kids don't want to sit for a super long time, so I would say buzzers are the best. And unless you're going. I don't know if I just like dated myself. I would say don't use an attachment more than a 4. So all attachments have numbers on them, and they have, so a 1/2 inch. So that's what's going to be left on the hair. And then a number 4, right? So unless you're really going for a super, super short haircut, don't really use anything less than a 4. And so a 1 is the shortest and 8 is the longest. And I always say like a 4 is like your universal like number. Like my hair is actually, I mean, it's a little long right now, but my hair is a 5. So it's still pretty short. And all attachments, all buzzers come with these attachments. And here we go. And again, it is a doll head. So you want to find, again, where that little ridge sticks out. Mannequins don't really have them, so I'm going to create one. And you tilt their head down, and they're going to say it tickles. And you just go straight up. So you put the buzzer directly on their scalp and go straight up from where you feel that little ridge. And you do, this is for the back. So, right, so you're doing the same thing all around, just in the back. And I'll show you the stuff in the front and sides. And again, unless they're like, can you guys see what I'm doing here? Unless they want their hair super duper short, I wouldn't recommend taking a buzzer to the top of someone's head. You can do that very easily with scissors. And you're gonna, again, like the ear, behind the ear is the key. Like all haircuts sort of change a little bit when they get to the ear. So now I'm gonna stop buzzing because I got to the ear. So does anyone have any questions about that? Like literally you're just going straight to their scalp, and once you feel that little bump, you just take the buzzer off. And as long as you have that guard on, it will not remove any, like you won't have any bald spots or anything like that. As long as you keep that guard on.
Not seeing any other questions right now.
Okay. So again, you know, he had longer hair. So now you have that line, right? I know it's tempting to be like, oh, I'm just going to take a higher number and go up, but you don't want to do that. And like super duper simple, you're going to take pie sections. You're going to see where your shortest piece is there. And then you're going to cut it. And then you're going to do the same exact thing all the way until you get to the back of their ear. And I would always start, in the back. And I'm like a concern. I'm not scissor happy. I'm not a scissor happy hairdresser. So I always like to start in the back because I know that I can always take more off. And if I start on the side, then you're stuck, right? Then you're like, this kid's got really short sides and now I got to meet everything. So it's just easier to start in the back. And again, literally I'm picking up the hair. It keeps swiveling on me. Picking up the hair straight wherever your last piece was, you're cutting a straight line. And that literally is it for the back of a kid's buzz cut.
Wow. Jamie asks, why am I hearing an echo of myself? She says, my son and husband both have very short hair, so we use number 1. How do we avoid looking like there are lines?
Okay. I'm going to show you. So number 1 is the shortest you can do without skin. How you would do it without lines, there is a technique called scissor over comb. I'm going to show you like the shortest, easiest way to do it. It is like scissor over comb is a technique that when you're learning how to cut hair, it takes a lot of practice. But what you're doing is you're pulling the hair up, you're letting the comb come, and when you see any pieces, then you're cutting it. And that's how you'll get rid of that line. It does take a lot of practice, but you're just putting the comb up and cutting. If you are still seeing a line, you can put the comb up and then do a little, we call, point cutting, where you're just cutting away. Don't take thinning shears to, just don't do it, especially to a 1. It will just create more and more lines. But again, scissor over comb does take practice, but you can eliminate some of those lines by just putting your comb directly on the head, and then whatever pieces that you see, you can go in and either point cut, or you can go in and do a straight across.
Thank you.
Um,
Dominique, we have about 10 minutes left, so I just wanted to
Yep.
give you that time frame.
Sure. Do you want to do, I'll show you how to do the sides, and then I think that's good, right? We'll just show you how to do the sides and how to cut around the ear of a little boy. And then I think does everyone feel cool with that?
I'm cool.
Excellent.
But if you guys have any
So-
last questions, make sure to put them in the chat. Miriam, I'll ask your question in a little bit, as soon as she's done with the sides.
Okay, so we're gonna take, same deal. We're gonna take that 4, and we're gonna pretend that occipital goes all the way. And that occipital actually goes to your eyebrow. If you traced your eyebrow, it directly goes to that occipital. And then you're just, same deal. And I actually realized I didn't cut that piece, so that's why there's that hanging over piece. So we can just ignore that. So it literally was the same, right? You just took that and went off where it met the eyebrow. And then to do around their ears, I can't hold their ear back, right? But bend their ear so you can get around it. You can do it with scissors. Scissors might be a little scary, so you don't want to cut anyone, but that's where your little like beard trimmer or like little trimmer comes through. And you're going to just follow the line of the ear.
Fee
And then,
asks,
I'm sorry.
what about the special ear guards? Are they easier or harder to use?
So I personally have never used the special ear guards. I've watched YouTube videos on them. I feel like they're cumbersome. But again, I've never used them. I think that your finger is the best ear guard because you're just pushing it down. And then depending on where you want their sideburn to land, I always say like that little piece of your ear right there is a good spot, which that's what's going on right here. And then you just do that. So you can try the ear guards out. Like I said, I've never used them. Your finger works just as well. And
Okay.
And literally like you're just coming across, like you're not touching the ear, you're just coming across or following the ear. You're not actually touching their ear because you've moved their ear forward. Does that make sense around this stuff?
Yes, definitely. I see people nodding too, so that's good.
Awesome. And then same deal with that little line that's, you're going through and picking up. And then the stuff on top, I'm going to do one section and you're going to be like, wait, we just did this. You're going to just take pie sections and connect what's going on here to what's going on here. And then your haircut's done.
Can you just
So-
show that one time?
Yep, absolutely. So and even if their hair is much, much shorter than this, like obviously this guy has longer hair, it is literally all the same. So I'll show you on the side. So you're gonna take your piece up. You're gonna see where your last little piece was right there. And you just cut.
Wow.
So everything is a pie section.
All right.
Like even, you know, even this stuff on top, right?
Dominique, I'm going to try to get a couple of questions in before we have to
Yeah.
go. There,
Totally.
Miriam asks, back to the woman, and actually I have a couple questions about that. For someone with very long hair, how do you trim? Do you still need clips, and how do you make it even?
Yes. I have someone with super long hair, and that's the easiest haircut ever. You can do this haircut in like 5 minutes. If I can get her on the stand. This, get your sections where it's behind the ear, you know, find where their natural part is. And it's the first thing we did in that bob, right? There's just no layering involved. Dropping my clips everywhere. You just try to, you know, get it as even as possible. Wet it down. I mean, I am wetting it down just to like this section. You know, normally you'd wet the whole head. You pull that piece in the middle, find out where you want to cut it, pull the next piece.
So
And
one
that's
of the
it.
three haircuts.
You just make a straight line.
Okay.
And then you do the exact same thing. You pull down all of these sections. And then when you get to this side, I know I'm flying through this one. You're just matching again, just at the eyebrow. And then you pull down and just connect.
Okay.
So that one, like, and I can go through that a little more in the adult program.
Okay.
Along with curtain bangs, which are super fun. But this is just called a one length haircut. Again, there are only 3 haircuts. You're just making 4 sections, pulling it down in 1/4 inch sections and connecting the lines.
Okay. And then to the girl haircut, how many pie sections should we make around the head?
So I would say, depending on how thick or how thin, you can do, if you wanted to be super cautious, you can literally do 20 tiny sections. If they have finer hair, you can do it in 5. So really it depends on how precise or how meticulous you want to be. But as long as your sections are a 1/4 inch or smaller, you're fine.
Okay, and for the first cut in the back, are we making that horizontal line along the bone line as well?
Yes, absolutely. Oh, along, no,
That-
not along the bone line here, along wherever you want that line to be, right? So in the bob, right, we did it to, it was like her hairline.
Yep, right. So does the side part matter at all?
So side parts, yeah, when you're cutting, cut on their part.
Okay.
If you part, except for bangs don't matter, but cut on their part, because if you're parting in the middle and then you comb their hair, you're gonna have layers on one side and nothing on the other. And then you're getting into trying to layer to match, and then that's a nightmare. So just when you're finding their part, you're just pulling their hair back. And little kids have like really deep parts. And then you're just cutting there.
Okay. So do you use more slices for wavy or curly hair?
So wavy and curly hair are the most forgiving hair like ever. And so really you can use it as long as it's a 1/4 inch, it's pretty much always the same. With wavy and curly hair, it's super forgiving.
Okay.
If there's a mistake, you probably would never see it in a million years. I am obsessed with wavy and curly hair, and I'm certified in cutting wavy and curly. So maybe we can find, I'll either perm a mannequin or I'll find a curly hair mannequin, because that would be kind of fun.
Okay. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
One last question. Should you trim split ends wet or dry for long, wavy, curly hair?
Always wet.
Always wet.
Yeah, it's just wet is just it's just easier. Your comb is going to slide through it. So just always do wet. Like when hairdressers do dry cuts, it's just to add texture and stuff like that. With just trimming, always just do wet.
Okay. So thank you so much, Dominique and Mary Ellen, who I know is the cameraman in person back there. I really appreciate it. I feel like we had some great questions, and we're all going to look our kids are going to look a little less shaggy now.
And I hope that like made sense and was helpful to everyone.
Absolutely.
So, and I wicked enjoyed doing this. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, I will share out the links that you sent, the video link, as well as the information about your October 21st program about trimming our own hair. So
Yes.
Again, thank you so much. Thank you everybody for coming, and we hope to see you again soon.
Excellent. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, guys.